Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Totalbiscuit here live from E3, and it's my pleasure to introduce you Jay Crowe from Bohemia Interactive. We're going to be looking at an updated version of ArmA 3. You guys were ridiculously hyped for ArmA when we showed it to you at Gamescom. You're going to be even more hyped now because they've made some fantastic advancements. So, Jay, why don't you walk us through it?
Thank you very much, and welcome to our E3 presentation. I'll take a couple minutes, if it's all right, just to give us an idea of where we are now.
By all means.
Where we've moved on since last year. Most obvious things are our lighting. And maybe for those who aren't quite so familiar with ArmA 3, well, with the sandbox military shooter of your dreams. We'll maneuver around to our firing drills over here and tell you what I want to show you today. We've got a lot of new features. Some are general things like the underwater environment, what we're doing with nighttime. Some are more specific, like firing ranges or ragdoll, how we're implementing that into the engine. We're doing things a little differently from last year. Things are a bit more hands-on. We're going to let Mr. Biscuit here get onto the keyboard and hopefully shoot some targets.
Miss everything.
Quite. I'm just going through a quick firing drill here. Maybe we'll get your man here to try and beat my time. So why are we doing hands-on? Well, the kind of content we're seeing here is what we'd like to achieve for our community alpha. The community alpha will be coming out later this year, and the goal is really to get people excited about ArmA 3, to get it as stable as possible. We accept in the past we've had a little bit of a hairy time trying to get a stable build out. So our community alpha gives people the opportunity to get hands-on, report some feedback, and really make this ArmA 3 the best in the series to date.
Do you guys have a date yet for community alpha? So rough kind of ballpark?
Well, there's a couple of things I can say about that. The first is we wanted it to be right after E3, right after July, and it's not going to be that soon. Specifically, we're upgrading from PhysX 2 to PhysX 3. Now, what that means has been some complications for multiplayer. Obviously, that's really important to us, and we want to ship the community alpha with all the features that are important to us, ragdoll, multiplayer. What that means is around about Gamescom this year, then we'll have some more updates about where we are with that. I can say that that means the official release date will be moved to 2013 now. Again, we want to make this the most stable build that we've ever had, and I think with our community's help and with as much testing as possible, we'll be able to achieve that. So we've got a lot to get through. I'll hand you back over now to the
worst man in the world at this particular game.
So if we head over to the firing drills, maybe you can try and give that a go. Sure. I suggest to reload with the R button. Cool. You can also have a good chance to see our new reload animations. Okay. Yep. So let's stand in this square here.
Okay.
We have some instructions. We'll have a 3, 2, 1 countdown, and then we'll head across to our puppet targets, which are just to your front. So, as developers, this gives us the opportunity to test and validate animations. So, run up to the checkpoints, and you can bring up your sights with the right mouse button. Good job. So, as I was saying, this is the kind of content that we'll look to package with our community alpha. It helps us get an idea of the weapons, the way they handle, the sounds, what's not configured properly. The target is just to your right.
It's well hidden by the looks of it.
It pops back down if you get too close. The system considers it to be cheating.
So this is designed to demonstrate peeking around cover, I assume?
Partly the different cover systems.
Oh, it's right there. Get up there.
No, if we take a few steps back, do you see this one over here? Yeah, there he is. You see him to the right?
Sneaky
take
bastard.
Him down.
Somehow I don't think I'm going to be beating your time anytime soon.
Your next one will be to the left. So we've got, if you move to the checkpoint. Exactly.
There we go.
So checkpoint to checkpoint, taking them down as fast as we can, demonstrating our new weapons. So the kind of feedback that we'd be looking for is, how do the animations work? Are they too clunky? Are they realistic enough for you? Our next checkpoint is through the bridge there. And then straight through the finishing line to clock our amazing time.
The worst time in E3 thus far. It's very impressive.
No, I'm sure. No, there has been worse. We had a couple of Russian guys on before.
I am so sorry.
So you've at least kept up the British end. I mean, today is the Jubilee after all.
Yeah, slow and steady wins the race.
Okay, now let's get into some proper features. I think let's kick things off with a little bit of scuba diving.
That sounds like fun.
Cool. So, obviously, it's a big design challenge for us. The kind of things it's meant doing is the environment, the gameplay, the sounds. There's a lot of components that all come together to try and create a convincing underwater world. Once we've loaded up, we'll see a vehicle underwater, which I'd advise getting into. Makes it a little bit quicker getting to our objective. We'll show some special equipment, the weapons, which are a little bit controversial, vehicles, and a little bit of the gameplay as well. So if we swim over to this STV,
all right,
jump in.
How do we do that?
We can press enter.
Okay.
And we'll see a few nice things here. Picture in picture. We're rendering 2 scenes on the screen here. Our buoyancy is controlled with Q and Z.
So that takes us to the surface.
And then if we go back down underwater, we can see our rock formation. We'll go under that, and there's a few enemy divers to take down just beyond the horizon.
Can we go into third person with this?
You certainly can with the enter on the number pad key. There she is.
That's what it looks like. Nice underwater lighting engine.
Yeah, honestly, some of the magic that we've done with the HDR here, our lead artist, Googler, he's done a really fantastic job. The environment guys make all the underwater clutter, the rock formations. Like I say, a lot of different things come together to try and help create the feeling. I would recommend stopping around here and getting out.
Okay.
So if we use the mouse wheel, we can see the action menu. And just eject.
All right.
Okay, now we have a special underwater weapon here. It's not like we can just take an M16 down underwater and start laying down fire.
Okay.
It has a range of about 30 meters, so you're going to need to get a little bit closer to this enemy diver. I would suggest taking cover behind that rock.
Okay. What kind of scenarios do you envision the scuba feature to actually provide to the players?
Well, we're playing one at the moment. I'll let you maybe take this guy down, and then to your left.
Yep.
So our objective here was to take out the divers patrolling, and then we've got some mines closer to the surface there, which are anti-ship. So you can imagine here maybe we're clearing the way for a beachhead assault, something like that. That's a helicopter there coming over the surface. Again, just adds to the atmosphere of it all.
Okay.
Okay. Well.
All right. So I guess we have to disarm this thing.
Sure. So this is just some quick prototype gameplay. Gives you an idea that we have an environment to play in, we have some weapons to use, and we have some gameplay that maybe we can get along with. Maybe now we can also see the nighttime, which, it's our same lighting engine, but in a completely different light. If we press continue to head along here, we'll see the way that the HDR is used for things like vehicle headlights, the chem lights, without destroying the whole scene. We can turn on our night vision, and we don't have the problems that maybe we used to in ArmA 2. Okay, very simple objectives here. We're just following the chem lights along the path.
Okay.
Sure. That's a helicopter up there in the distance. So the kind of stuff that we have at night, we can turn on our light, maybe help if we switch into third person. We've also got things like infrared pointers, again, bringing different tactical elements to the nighttime, different kinds of gameplay. That's a friendly patrol in front of us.
Yep.
So really, the improvements to nighttime in ArmA 3 open up a whole part of the day cycle that maybe wasn't as fun to play in before. It makes it, well, in the light of the full moon, a little easier to navigate at night. Or if the full moon isn't there, we can turn on our MVGs and find our way around without some of the annoying problems maybe we used to have with ArmA 2. If we continue up the path, we'll meet our couple of our buddies, and our objective here is just a very simple nighttime patrol where we'll engage them up for.
Now, with the recent popularity of ArmA 2 perhaps coming as kind of a surprise to a lot of people as a result of the DayZ mod and the resurgence of multiplayer, is multiplayer the focus of ArmA 3 this time around? Are you also going to be providing a big, meaty single-player experience?
The single-player experience is the way into ArmA. There's a lot to learn in terms of its complexity, in terms of the kind of things that you can do in it. So I would consider the campaign to be, you know, how do we use the weapon? How do we use supports? How do we deal with the freedom that ArmA 3 offers? Multiplayer, then, you know, obviously the success of things like DayZ really show how important that is. In fact, it's perhaps worth mentioning that the improvements that are being made currently because of DayZ, some of our really top programmers are working on fixes to some very simple multiplayer functionality. That all gets merged into ArmA 3, so by the time we launch, we can have the smoothest experience that hopefully we've ever been able to offer. Of course, now Dean is working for us, the creator of DayZ, so his expertise will no doubt come in really handy when it comes to making our multiplayer game modes.
And I can already see that things like this lighting engine and the amount of just how ridiculously dark this actually is would be extremely effective in providing atmosphere for that kind of genre of mod.
Well, I think all of the recent showcase videos that we've presented, there's been a fair amount of people saying, "Oh my goodness, imagine DayZ and imagine some zombies." And you know, I don't mind that. That's the whole point of the engine. It's meant to be open. It's meant to be modifiable. And work like DayZ really validates the great work that our programmers do in providing this sort of mod support. It's not easy. Sometimes it introduces a lot more complexity. But things like DayZ, things like really popular old mods from ArmA 2, like the Ace mod, Project Reality, these all validate the choices that we make, and we're really, really happy to see people enjoying our game as it should be, which is free, open, play however you like.
Yeah, so it's probably fair to describe ArmA 3 at this point as very much an open shooter that you're hoping people will take in a lot of different directions.
Well, that's the idea. I mean, freedom is a great way of thinking about the ArmA 3 engine. You know, enormous terrains, 300 square kilometers that you can go anywhere in, plus all of that underwater seabed, which is really nicely detailed, as we've just seen before. You know, we can fly a tank, we can fly a helicopter, we can be a machine gunner. You know, all of these different aspects is about the freedom of the game, and that extends again into modding, doing what you want, playing however you like.
And what do you think whenever you see some of these rather crazy things that people do within the game? I recall the infamous battle bus being one of them, which had artillery strapped to it. Is that the kind of thing that you encourage in a realistic game? Absolutely.
I mean, I think if we're too serious about development, then we miss opportunities. We miss some of the great creativity of our community. Now, we're not going to have a battle bus maybe in our playable content, but we're certainly not going to stop people making their own and, hell, shooting zombies out of cannons if they so wish.
What kind of improvements are you making to make modding easier in ArmA 3?
Well, a lot of guys in the community have been working on, like the 6 updater is a great example of how we can try and help synchronize mods, get all the files downloaded. And Andres Spaniel, one of the founders of Bohemia Interactive, actually, he's doing a lot of work on improving the way that we load mods into the game, trying to make it a lot more simple, a lot more modular. And again, this is all part of his separate work, which we merge later into ArmA 3.
What do you think is the future for the ArmA series after ArmA 3? Is it going to be a case of you continue making ArmA games until people don't want to buy them anymore, or is the team interested in taking this kind of open shooter style and going in a different direction with it, perhaps a different time period?
Well, I think ArmA 3 is evidence of some desire to go a little bit different. There's some resistance from certain parts of our community in terms of taking us into the future. Like, we're in 2035 here. We've got some weapons that are non-standard. We don't have the M16, the M4 that everyone loves playing with. But that allows some creative freedom for the developers. It keeps them motivated. We're not a workhouse. We're not a huge company. People have to enjoy what they're doing for us to make any decent kind of game at all. And 2035, some fictional conflict with Iran. That lets us make some interesting decisions, and it gives guys something like a break from maybe what they've worked on before.
So it's not an official confirmation of Mountain Blade armor, but close enough.
Well, I think whatever we'll do, there'll always be a gun in the hand at least. Probably worth mentioning with the customization you can have on the weapons. You know, for example, let's move into our gear. Let's take off the sight here. We've still got the laser pointer attached. And we can see,
Iron
just
sights,
like that, we've changed up our weapon. But I think we're at the end of our program of targets. So.
There we go.
What did that cone ever do to you?